Hey there everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be talking about inversions, specifically chord inversions. We're going to be talking a little bit about what inversions are, how to play them, and why to use them and when to use them. So let's get started. So a chord inversion is when you take the notes of a chord such as C major, which is made up of the notes C, E and G in that order. And when we play an inversion, we're playing those same notes but just in a different order. So when we play C major like this, C, E, G, we're playing it in what's called root position. Now, if we take the bottom note C and we play it an octave higher, that is first inversion. Now we've still got the same notes. Here we had C, E, G, and now here we've got E, G and C, except the C is an octave higher. So it's the same notes but played in a different order. So that is first inversion. Now, if we take that bottom E and we move that and we play that an octave higher, we get, and that is C major in second inversion. Root position, first inversion, second inversion. And of course, those are the only variations on that chord because we are a triad, which is made up of 3 notes. So if we wanted to invert it again, we would just end up with C major in root position, except an octave higher. There we go. And just to point out, this is different from another type of inversion, which is inverting intervals, which is where you take an interval and then you invert it. But that's for a different video. So today we're dealing specifically with chords. We're using triads, chords made up of 3 notes, 1, 2, 3, and we are inverting that chord, playing the same notes but in a different order. Okay, so why would we want to learn these? Why do we need inversions? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is because they add a different colour to the chord, because even though it's the same notes, it sounds, each inversion has its own quality, especially when you back that up with a bass. So, root position, first inversion, second inversion. They're all the same chord, they're all C major, but they have a slightly different colour to them. And so it can be useful when making certain musical or harmonic choices to use an inversion as opposed to a chord in its root position. Another reason we might use inversions is for economy of finger movement, if you want to call it that, which just means that it makes it a little bit easier for us to move around the keyboard if we have our inversions under our fingers. So for example, if I've got C and the next chord in my sequence is F major, now there's nothing wrong with that in particular, but it's quite a big jump. So what I might want to do instead, if I'm starting off with C in root position, I might go like this. this is F major in second inversion. Root position, first inversion, second inversion. And as you can see, there's very, very little movement between the notes and between the fingers. There's much less work that the hand has to do to switch between those two chords. Now, it's not just economy of finger movement that we want to be considering when we choose to use inversions. It also has something to do with something called voice leading, which, if you think of these notes being sung by a choir, those are quite large jumps, large intervallic jumps between notes. Yeah, so if you imagine this is top, middle, bottom, the top note would have to go up a fourth, up a fourth, up a fourth, which are quite big jumps for singers. But if you were to go the gaps between the notes are shorter and they make for a nice voice leading. Now perhaps if we do this in the context of a chord progression, I'm going to choose a 1, 5, 6, 4 progression in C major. Okay, so that gives us C major, which is our 1 chord, G major, which is our 5, A minor, which is our 6, and F major, which is our 4. This progression is very, very common in songs such as Let It Be. And again, there's nothing wrong with those chords in particular, but with some clever use of inversions, we can make the chord sequence sound just a little bit nicer and a little bit more modern and a little bit more mature, I guess, at the piano. So we start off with our C major in root position. Now our next chord is G major. We play that in root position, that's going to take us either up here, or it's going to take us down here. Okay, so what we can do instead, C major root position, and then if we use G major in the second inversion, and then for the A minor, we're just going to move that shape up again, so we're going to be playing A minor in second inversion. And then all we need to do to get from A minor to F major is move the E up to the F. And there we have F major in root position. So again, and as you can see, there's very little movement. And if you listen to those little inner melodies moving around, they're very subtle. But overall, it just sounds a little nicer and it sounds a little more polished. Now, when it comes to practicing the inversions, a nice way to practice these inversions is to take a chord sequence like the one we've just done and use that as a framework for practicing these inversions. So one thing you can do is that you can limit yourself to within a certain range. Yeah, so let's say we limit ourselves to this range, so C to C, so we're not allowed to step outside of those boundaries. So if we were to play the chord sequence within that range, yeah, or it could even look like this. first inversion, F major in the second inversion. And then we can move our range up slightly. So let's go from E to D. So we'd be starting our C major in first inversion, sorry. So hopefully you can hear that even though we were playing the same 4 chords over and over again, by just experimenting with the inversions, you can get slightly different tone colours. And then your opportunities and your options for making musical choices become much broader. So what we're going to do again, we're going to move the range up again and limit it. We're going to limit it to here, G to F. Yeah, so our starting chord, C major, will now be in second inversion. So, second inversion, root position, A minor, root position, F major, first inversion. So that's one way you can practice these inversions, by limiting the range so that your brain is forced to try and think of what inversion is going to best fit within the range. Another way that you can practice the inversions is by going through the sequence and just going up the keyboard. Yeah, so we'll start with C in root position. And I'm just going to go up the keyboard. And then we're back to C. And so on, up the keyboard. So thank you for joining me today. We've talked a little bit about what inversions are, how to play them, and when and why we might decide to use inversions in our playing. I hope that by watching this video you've managed to get something out of it. Please hit that like button, and if you'd like to subscribe for more content, I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys, happy practicing.